Hey, you guys, it's Lula. I've never gone live before. And I'm sitting here and I'm playing with these cards. My friend has all these decks. It is so fun for me because I play with spirit and my pendulum, crystal stones, but like I don't use a lot of, different types of props. I love them. They're not cheap, and I've never found one that I'm like, oh my God, I have to have it. So I just play with them when I'm at people's houses or at stores or whatever. So anyway, I don't know if anybody will even see this. I just realized I was just doing yoga, but I don't know. Spirit told me to go live, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to argue. If I'm supposed to go live, then I'll go live. I'm like, if this is just for one person, then it's just for one person. If it's for nobody, it's for nobody. Maybe it's practice for me. Either way, I'm playing with a deck called Ask Your Guides. I know nothing about it. So I started to sit down to read it. By the way, my friend's husband may be coming home soon. So I may have to end this, but until he does. So I started looking through the book and I heard go live. So I guess we're going to learn together. So they're Ask Your Guides, Oracle Cards. This is the guidebook. The direct link to your personal psychic support system. So last night before bed, I could have watched a movie or TV or something, but because she had so many different types of cards, I wanted to play with them. So I did the animal deck and I got the Raven. And I was like, oh, that doesn't surprise me because the Raven's all about awakening your magic and your power. But this particular deck, and each person who writes these decks or paints them or whatever is coming from their own level of consciousness. So, it's what they get from it. Man, if I'd known we were going live, I would have brought them. But the description on the Raven was unlike anything I've ever read about the description of the Raven in terms of magic and powers and gifts and stuff. But it was really powerful. It was really, 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 really powerful for me. It basically was saying you're beyond any magic you even understand, and stop holding yourself back. And I realized when I was with my family, I shrink like a violet. This is why I chose them. I mean, think about it. If everybody in my family, well, I believe they are like me, but if they were outwardly like I am, then I wouldn't be having these issues, right? I wouldn't have to struggle. I'd have a perfect family, perfect life. There's no such thing as perfect, but you know what I mean. It would be more symbiotic and it would have more of a beautiful harmony. And with my family, the bottom line is I love you. But I'm getting this very common thread of so far I've been called weird, wacko, queer, whacked out. So those things that's serious. Like and I realized how sensitive, like now I'm realizing, like, because my whole life I heard, stop being so sensitive. You're so sensitive, toughen up, blah, 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 blah. And they were doing all these things to me to toughen me up. They did give me the gift of becoming stronger and tougher. But unfortunately, I can only get a thick skin to a certain point because I am an empath. So I'm extremely sensitive in every aspect, you know? So when you have somebody like myself who's like basically an open wound all the time, I had asked, or sometime I forget how it went down, but one of my gurus that I worked with, when I was like, well, I don't know how to explain to people like what my condition is. And she said, tell them that you feel like an exposed nerve. She goes, most people get that at one point or another, because we've all had teeth that we've come in, our baby teeth, and most of us. It's very rare that people get one set of teeth their entire life. So we all understand the breaking, the pulling, that nerve, the cold ice cream, and so it was such a great analogy because I thought to myself, yeah, who doesn't know what that feels like, that where you're like, ugh, most people. So that's what I tell people. I'm like, when they're like, when you say you're an empath, what does that mean? I'm like, well, that means that all empaths have different levels. But me as an empath, mine's like up here. And everybody's are different. It's not better or worse. It's not like I want to be up here. You know what I'm saying? It's not like some great honor to be this fucking sensitive. Trust me on that one. But I think in this competitive world of, well, I've done this, or I've done that, or it's like, oh, okay, and I was the youngest. So of course, imagine my world where, it's like this constant pleasing mentality, you know? So being with my family, it's like this very perplexed, complex, uh, incredibly amazing experience. And I think I was looking at it the wrong way. I've been taking everything too personally. And as my beautiful sister I'm staying with said, you know, she's reading the Four Agreements again. I said, yeah, I'm like, that's such a good book. And it doesn't matter what religion you are or what your faith is. The Four Agreements is just the basic. I wonder if it's anywhere nearby. She's got so many books around. Anyway, I was going to read them to you. But look it up. The Four Agreements. San Luis Miguel, I believe, is the author. And you know, the Four Agreements are really intense because they're so simple. They're so simple. And if all of us went along with the Four Agreements in our lifetime, can you imagine? Can you imagine what that would be like? It would be amazing. And it's so simple. It's just the basics. But one of them is don't take anything personally. But it's hard when it's someone like, in one breath, I had someone say to me that they really loved and respected what I was doing when I was telling them how I'm working with children and animals. And I was trying to explain to my mom, I'm like, I don't know why these beings are drawn to me. I don't know why a special needs child at 5 years old has never touched anyone but his mother, but climbed onto me like I was a tree and didn't want to let go. I don't know. You know what I mean? That's my magic here. That's my magic. That's my pure love. Like I just love you, love you, love you, love you, love you, you know? Um, and so and it's interesting because when I would say certain things, I'd hear my mom go, hmm, not judging, not, you know, well, I'm sure there's a million things of dialogue going on in her head, but not to me. She's listening, and I could tell she's listening, you know. I am her child and she does love me. Um, In fact, it was interesting because one of my aunts said, I said something like, I'm not stupid or I'm not crazy or something. She goes, I don't think you are crazy. And that was even harder because I was like, okay, well, if you know I'm not crazy and I'm not delusional, you don't want to hear anything I have to say, or you want to, you know. So it's like when I speak about miracles or I speak about things that happen to me, it's okay as long as I'm talking about them in a reference that people can understand. So that's what I try to do. I've tried to make that my belief system, my core system, whatever you want to call it. I try to make it as vanilla as possible, or at least I'm trying to. Thank you, Layla, for that. Because we can't get too personal about certain things, and it's so difficult. I really do understand that. It's really, really difficult. I'm going through it myself. Um, but I remember there was one moment where I just started to shrink like a violet, and my aunt was like kind of coming at me and was like, "Ah," like she was so mad. She was so mad. And I remember thinking like, "Oh, like why are you so mad?" So my human, my Kelly, my human that, you know, she was my aunt. She's 10 years older than me. So imagine when I was 1, she was 11, you know. So she's babysitting me. She's basically my big sister. And she's always shielded me and protected me. However, I also know her wrath. And she's a Sag like I am. And she's on the cusp of Sag and Capricorn, which is a really, really rare mix because I always like to say that Sagittarius is like the child of the zodiac and the Capricorn's like the adult. From my experience, I'm not a great astrologer or, you know, investor of time on all of the signs, but I know enough. And so I always thought that's fascinating. And my sister slash friend Marcy is the same way. She's like right on the cusp there. And I think those are the most incredible people on the planet because they still have the life, the vigor, the fantasy, the the beautiful design mentality of a child. They can go there instantly. They can go to all different parts of their brain. They're very creative. Yet they can go to the adult sign, you know? Like I've seen Marcy be like, oh, goofy. And then I see her be like, "Hmm," and she's like, you know, an old school Native American shaman, you know, like she's just like so wise. And you're like, you know, my aunt was the same way. She's still the same way. So it's hard when you respect these people so immensely, but then when they come for you, you're like, you're right. It's like I've been finding myself going this thing where I'm almost gonna be like, You're right. You're right. And then I'm like, no, no, no. I mean, that's why I knew at a really young age, I knew I had to leave home. It wasn't that I wanted to leave my family. I just knew I would never, ever be able to do what I wanted to do, or like the things that I thought, or like my brain, the way that I was not going here. And, my aunt, who I speak of, she always said, Kelly walks to the beat of her own drum. I went as Kelly. I was born Kelly, but I have become Lula Kelly. And, there was a time where I said to my family, I'm like, I have people in the Northwest that don't even know Kelly. They don't know her personality. They don't know her name. They don't know anything about her. They only know Lula, the spiritual guidance counselor. That's who they know, you know, or Lula, whatever, fashion. I feel like my Portland people really have a really cool, rare insight because they got to see me arrive there as Kelly, but needing to really be done with her. And that's a whole other story. One of these days I'll finally finish my book. I'll be one of those people that'll take me 10 years to write my book. I keep hearing spirit tell me to kind of pull it back. This is where I'm at. This is why this is happening. And I guess I had to like really rip the fucking Band-Aid off and go live. Even if none of you see it live, I had to do it for me. And if you're here, give me a thumbs up. If you're not, I'm like, I don't even know. I think I'm supposed to be looking at this thing. I've gone live a few times on Instagram, but I don't know. That feels odd to me. Anyway, right now doesn't mean I won't. Again, so I'm going to play with these spirit cards, and I'm going to keep going through this. And thank you for witnessing my transformation, for witnessing, just everything I'm going through. It's intense, man. It's intense. I mean, I believe that we all have to go through something like this. My only hope is at the end of the day, I know I'm not going to change my family and they're not going to change me, and that's okay. I just hope that we can come to a place where we no longer criticize, make fun of, or demean one another. Because when my sister told me I was weird because I wanted to save a dying wasp and put it outside in nature and not like just throw it in the garbage, we have different beliefs. And, I think before I would have been like, no, I'm not, or I would have like tried to defend myself. Instead, I just said, no, I'm not. And I just let it go. And I continued to work with this poor hornet until I can get it outside. Because, I respect and honor all living things. All living things are here for a reason, even if you don't understand it. Even from your own limited, consciousness around a subject. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means you don't fully understand it. And it also doesn't mean that the person is above you or below you. You're just at different levels of consciousness. When the ego slips in, when we're like, we all do it. We all do it. I saw something with Deepak Chopra recently where he still does it too. And I love when he's honest about it because he's like, sometimes you can't help it. And look at him. I mean, he's huge. So it's like, how can you not have a little bit? Sometimes you can't help for it not to slip in. It's very human. It's a very human thing. I pray the day, or I should say, I look forward to the day that happens. It may never happen in this lifetime. I don't know. Anyway, with that being said, spirit cards. I'm just going to grab one. I like grabbing one because I feel like whatever message needs to come through is the message that needs to come through, right? Ooh, but I just opened to the book. I was curious to see which card I draw there. Oh, I should have showed you guys. Okay, I'm going to show you guys so that if it does. If it doesn't, that's okay. But right when I opened the book, it came to this, number 30. That's interesting. Death and Guardian Angels. Okay. Do I cut? See, I like to actually, I'm not a cutter either. People are always like, do you want to cut? I'm like, no, it's usually something like this. Oh, however, to be honest, I wasn't focused. So, however, to be honest, I wasn't focused. So we'll see if I get those again though. Because if I do, then I was really meant to get them. I've learned that as well. Okay. Because I didn't really ask a question. So ask your guides. What question would I like to ask? Oh, I heard knock it out. Okay. Ooh, balance. Oh, yeah. What were we just talking about, right? Balance. Divine teachers. That's rad. Okay, let's hear what it says. But interesting that I saw the depth. It could just, no, it's not in the middle though. That's interesting. But interesting that I saw the depth. It could just, no, it's not in the middle though. That's interesting. We'll come back to that. Let's read balance first. Balance. Balance. These cards are fun. I can see why people like them. And I know so many people who are making cards right now or have a deck. The shaman I used to work with, Layla Lee, she's amazing. Her cards are beautiful. They're like trees. They're all different types of trees, like tree wisdom. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. But she's, if you follow her on Instagram, she's Ceremony Road. So the word ceremony and road together. And I think she's got pictures of her cards, and then you can reach out to her there and buy them. Those are really good. Corolla Marashi. I'm sorry. Those are really good. Corolla Marashi. I'm sorry. I cannot remember the name of Corolla's deck, but hers are really good too. Um, so it's Corolla. Uh, gosh, I'm sorry. I think it's Carola Marashi. Morashi. Sorry, Corolla. But look her up and look up oracle cards or, cards, and you'll probably find her. Okay, so let's get back to balance, balance, balance. I like when they put them in alphabetical order because that's more helpful, I think. Huh. Balance. Oh, it's under divine teachers. Okay. So I was looking under the. There we go. There we go. I was looking under the wrong thing. Sorry about that. Okay. Number 36, which comes out to the number 9. Interesting. Balance, divine teachers, support, codependency, manipulation, and generosity. You're in the delicate process of learning how to properly balance the flow of give and take in your personal relationships. How true, right? Everything we were talking about. And it's time to evaluate how you're doing. Are you giving too much, leaving you resentful and angry? That's interesting because earlier I was thinking that. I was like, okay, today I need to do this, 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 and that. And I'm like, well, I know this person, it'd be better for this person. And that's what I do. I go around everybody else's schedule, especially when I'm visiting, because I think, well, I'm only here for a short time. They live here, I'm here over 3 weeks. If it's meant to be, we'll, pull together. But I was finding this morning, like, that I want to go do this, but I really shouldn't because I should take care of myself. And I was going to push myself to go. And then I thought, no, I'm not going to push myself to go. I'm going to really take care of self today because I can tell, like, I need to chill. And I'm seeing a friend tonight and spending the night, spending the weekend over there. So anyway, so that's interesting. So I was feeling a little resentful and angry because I'm like, I don't really want to do that. And I was like, well, then I just need to tell them I don't want to do that today. How about Monday? Anyway, are you withholding when you could give more, leaving you feeling guilty and defensive? That's an interesting one. I don't feel like I'm withholding because I feel like I give too much. And I don't say that like, oh, I'm a giver. I'm just saying like, I just tend to do that. But that's an interesting aspect I need to look at more. Are you withholding when you could give more? I'm sure absolutely. And I do feel guilty. Not defensive so much, but I do feel guilty. Once in a while I get defensive. I think that's natural. But I do feel guilty. Like I have people I didn't get to see, like my friend and sister Michelle and her family. Like there were quite a few people, Jessica, that I didn't get to see, and I was in Portland. And I'm like, well, I'll see them next time. But it is hard. It's hard. Even you think there's so much time, but there's only one of you, and you got to get around to all these different places. And like here, it started out with the wedding, and I stayed this long to go to my niece's shower. So it was kind of the same last time. I stayed for a few different things, and because I was on a different medicine road. Anyway, your divine teachers can help you learn. Can help you learn to how better. I think that's a typo. I'm reading it again because I'm like, is it me? Your divine teachers can help you to learn how to better align your relationships so that you neither give nor take too much as a means of controlling others. Interesting. That's interesting. That's one we need to ponder. They counsel you to be honest about your motivations when dealing with others. You know in your heart of hearts what drives your interest in them. Did you give with a secret agenda of you owe me? Oh, that's an icky one. Do you create dependency in and do you create dependency in and control over others with your kindness? These are all very powerful things to think about. Or do you withhold for fear that you might be taken advantage of, keeping people guessing about your motives and your intentions? Your divine teachers are on hand to help you answer these questions. They lovingly assure you that relationships are the most difficult of all spiritual classrooms. Oh, it's so good. That's what I feel like. I feel like I'm in school right now. That's so interesting. I'm getting the medicine. Um, and the lessons of proper give and take are the most difficult of skills to learn. Have compassion for yourself as you seek balance with others. Ask your divine teachers to help you become more aware of how you give and receive in all relationships, not just the romantic kind. Their message to you: there's no difference between giving and receiving love. Well, that's interesting. That's powerful. Look at all those lessons. So I'm going to bring up some of these questions. If you guys want to now, I hope this is recording. I've never done live before, so I hope it records because there's a lot of good homework here for all of us. So if you can, if you're close to pen and paper, or I guess you can, pause it and go back. But I'm going to read the questions again because I was kind of going through my personal stuff during it, but this is for you too. So, okay, let's start with the first one. Are you giving too much, leaving you resentful and angry? So write these questions down and then ponder on them. Or are you withholding when you could give more, leaving you feeling guilty and defensive? Your divine teachers can help you learn how to better align your relationships so that you neither give nor take too much as a means of controlling others. They counsel you to be honest about your motivations when dealing with others. You know in your heart of hearts what drives your interest in them. Okay, now to the next questions. Do you give with a secret agenda of you owe me? Because I think that's a slippery slope one. I think we all do it. One of my sisters wanted to send me this oil when I just started getting shingles. Yay, that's fun. So she was being very generous and sweet and said, hey, shingles sister, don't worry about it. She made me like a little potion. And I said, well, I have something for you. And she goes, well, you don't have to do them. I'm like, no. I literally was going to give her something anyway. So we're just naturally like that. But it is funny. It's like how that can be where, I didn't know I was going to give her that thing before I needed that thing from her. It is great to have an exchange of energy, but we can't have a you owe me. I mean, I have certain people that I said, pay me when you can get it, pay me when you have it, pay me, whatever. And I meant it and I left it out there like that, but they kept coming to me every few months being like, okay, I'm going to send you something. I'm like, okay, cool. That's great. I'm like, thank you. That's awesome. But I didn't expect it. It's appreciated, but I never expect anything. So if you have hope, of course, because you're like, shit, I got to pay a bill. That's natural because I live in the human world. But it was really interesting, how certain people, they've pulled away from me completely. Now, the interesting thing is, I was never like, hey, you owe me or you have to give me this right now. They would seek me out and be like, I'm going to send you something. And I'd be like, cool. And then I just never get it. But I get it it's not just one and it's more than 5 and it happens a lot and it's okay. Sometimes I'm called to just do things. Spirit calls me to help people. And it's not about whether I'm going to get something or I'm not, because they always take care of me. And it's always when I'm at the, like Ed and I right now are in another little thing where he's like, oh my gosh, we have all this stuff and you're traveling and you haven't worked. And I'm like, just breathe. I'm like, it will come, it will come, it will come. It always does. It always does. But it's hard. It's hard. When we have our money, we want to hold on to it because we're like, well, I got to do this, I got to do that. But the more we hold on to things, the more we have this like attachment mentality, the less things come to us. It doesn't seem to make sense, but it does, because the natural universe flow is flow, right? We're perpetually moving forward all the time. Our planet's always spinning. We're moving forward. We're growing. We're changing, right? We're always changing. but we get stuck in this mentality of like hoarding money, things, whatever, but they don't really mean anything. They're not tangible. They may be right now, they may be right now. It's like, okay, yeah, that's tangible. But even this, it's tangible. But, goddess forbid, I decided to shave my head off today. It'll grow back. So we have to remember that. We have to remember that mentality. Look at Polly, by the way. Is he not the cutest thing in the world? Look at that face. Oh my goodness. I love this dog. I love him. Anyway, it's getting long, but thanks for playing with me. Ask Your Guides. This was a fun book. If you guys don't mind really quick before I wrap it up, I do want to read the Death Guardian Angels one, because that's like the first one I opened to. And I thought, oh, it's in the crease. It's not. If you can see, there's actually 2 creases there, one in there, and it wasn't in there at all. So, I mean, my finger literally like went inside of it. And it felt like it pulled it down. So let's see. Death Guardian Angels, number 33, Trinity. Before I started working with Metatron, it was me and my trifecta. Archangel Raphael, Michael, and Jesus. Those are the 3 that I was called in my trifecta. And then Metatron came this year, so now I call them my angels squared. So Death and Guardian Angels, devastation, surrender, defeat, humiliation. It's interesting. I'm going to kind of just expound on that a little bit, because we were at dinner out at a restaurant when my aunt kind of went at me. And I know she wasn't meaning to. She's just she's just a fiery individual, and the ram, So it's like she's like a ram on fire. So, but there was a moment where I felt humiliated because she called me a wacko and a whack job or whacked out or something like that. Those words took place in the conversation twice. That's hurtful, but I also felt humiliated. I look, my back was to the wall and nobody was really around us, but I felt humiliated in the presence of my family and the people that I loved. And that's on me. And that's something that I'm working through. But that's interesting that brought up humiliation, because I realized I'm like, I have to talk to her at some point and be like, you say you love me, but you can't call me names. Even if you disagree with what I believe in, it's so hurtful to have someone you love and admire and respect and look up to that much talk to you and treat you that way. It's hard, and it's just, she might as well have knocked me across the fucking room. It's that devastating. It hurts that much. And, we have to remember that, like, our words are powerful. What we say and what we do, what we put out into the universe comes back to us tenfold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold. It comes back to us and it attracts it, right? So if you're continually saying, I'm poor, I'm poor, I'm poor, you will be poor. Don't say you're poor. Say, I am wealthy beyond means. I have a roof over my head. I have food in my belly. There's gas in my car. And if you don't have gas in your car, be in gratitude for what you do have and pray for the gas in your car and it'll come. It's just these things. I'm realizing that a lot of the people that I love have lost their magic. They've lost their mojo. And you can tell some of them outwardly, just letting themselves go in like all different ways. Or it's letting themselves go on the inside emotionally. And sometimes it's both. And so they're like in a really uncomfortable position for them, and you can see it, and you can see that they're hurting. So we have to remember that. That's where I'm at right now. I'm just trying to remember that I have no idea what it's like to walk in other people's shoes. I've only walked in mine. So with that being said, I'm going to read this. As hard as this may be to admit, it's time to give up on your present efforts and walk away from a situation that has no more life in it. At one point, someone yelled at me, "You are Kellyanne, you are born Kellyanne, and that's who you are." And I said, that's right. I love Kelly. She saved my life. She was fucking awesome. I love her. She's a part of me. She will always live inside of me, but she cannot run the show. Lula runs the show. So it's interesting because that's how I'm feeling. And I feel like there's a lot of soul retrieval here for me right now. Hold on. Hey. Hey, Polly. Hey, Polly. He's going to lick himself. He's a dog. There's nothing I can do. Okay. So whether it's a dead-end job, a relationship that has run its course, or a pattern of behavior in you that's no longer. Hey. Enough. Sit up. Come on. Sit up. I need you. I need your support. He's not listening. He's not listening. Okay. Basically, they're saying that, okay, I'm going to start that sentence over. Whether it is a dead-end job, a relationship that has run its course, or a pattern of behavior in you that's no longer getting you what you want, reorganize what isn't working anymore. There are times in life when things or circumstances come to a natural end, some of which may seem beyond your control. This is one of those times. Your guardian angels are surrounding you as the reality of this dead-end situation settles in. They comfort you at a time when it appears as though all is lost. Although you're not experiencing a physical death, your angels indicate that something has indeed died. That which has been harming your spirit has died. The good news is that the worst has already occurred. It will not get any worse than this, and soon a new day will dawn. As hard as it can be to admit, accept that defeat or dead end. Because the sooner you do, the sooner the real gifts you seek will appear from the right resources. Wow. Hey, Polly. Thanks for sitting up. I'm sorry to interrupt your bath. I'm like getting emotional right now because that's how I feel. I kind of feel like after this trip, something is about to change. I do feel that actually. I felt it in that moment because I felt like when we were done with dinner and we went back to our cars and stuff, when I went to hug my aunt goodbye, she just said, I know how difficult this is for you. And I said, yeah. And I was like, they really have no idea. But that's okay. I do. So after this trip, after this adventure, I'm going to have to do some major, major, major deep work on myself and moving into my true power because I can't deny who I am anymore. And I know when I pulled that Raven card, when I read that, I was like, I'm one powerful motherfucking witch. And I come by it honestly. That's soul knowledge, not ego. But I need to let go of that which no longer serves me and say goodbye to these, like, this belief system that was never mine, that was given to me by other people's belief systems. And I was not brainwashed, but programmed. Some people say brainwashing, and they don't know. That's what they know, and that's what they believe, and that's okay. I don't judge them, but man, they judge the fuck out of me. Do I wish that we could come together? Yes. Do I wish, they would be more like me and awaken to their gifts and who they are as witches? Yes. But I cannot. And the craziest part about it is when I'm with my family, they say with witches, wherever two or more gather. And when we're together, there's a power and a force. And everyone's like, oh, we're just together. And I'm like, it's way more than that. Because I've been with other family members that aren't witches and with friends. And anyway, I'm not going to deny my power anymore. I can't. I've been holding back and withholding and withholding and withholding and withholding and withholding to protect everybody else and myself. And now it's time for me to fully, fully, fully come out. Have a blessed day, everybody. Thanks for being here. No one was here. So maybe that was it. This is my first live one. And maybe no one will even see this. And maybe it won't even be recorded. I don't know. But it was for me anyway. It's my therapy. It's your therapy. It's all of our therapy. Thank you, Spirit. And thank you, Jerry, for my Jennifer Aniston cut. I didn't know how I felt before, but now I kind of like it. Anyway, have a blessed day, everybody. Oh, wait, I don't even know how to turn you off. Do I do this? Hold on.